Hello, guys, and welcome back to Cohere Thanksgiving Hackathon. I'm happy to announce today with me Kristina Stephan, which is recruiter in Cohere, is talent manager, right, Kristina?
That is right. I'm the talent programs manager over at Cohere.
And today we will have a nice talk with Kristina, and in the end and during the talk, you will be able to ask questions in the Twitch chat, and I am more than happy to read them for Kristina to answer. And the topic today is recruitment tips. We will split in tea with the recruiter, and we'll talk about possibilities and career in AI. And guys, feel free to ask your questions, and I'm leaving the stage for Kristina. Have a nice talk.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And thank you to everyone that is joining us here on Discord or tuning in across streams on Twitch, LinkedIn, YouTube, whatever it is. Super happy to be chatting with you today. Like Alicia mentioned, my name is Kristina Stephan, and I am the talent programs manager over at Cohere. So I have a big hand in hiring amazing, candidates like yourselves. I've been a recruiter for about almost 10 years now of my recent years. So this is something I really love to do, and I would love to just spend some time with you today to share some different recruitment tips, kind of spill the tea, and kind of give up any recruiter secrets that I can. Anything that you can, find helpful, whether it's you're searching for a new job at this time, or whether you're just, open to exploring new opportunities, or you're really just keen on building your network and continuing to build your brand, or building products and wanting to kind of build your community around that. So I have a lot of great tips that I hope will be helpful, and like Alicia mentioned, would love to take some questions. We're going to save some time, at least 10 to 15 minutes at the end of the talk, to answer any questions you might have. So excited to chat, and it's a safe, open space, so feel free to share, and excited to kind of chat with you. So I want to spend the next 45 minutes or so to chat a little bit more on just like how to really optimize your job search, and how to really stand out as a job seeker, especially in this market. Things are a little bit hectic right now in the tech market. We unfortunately are seeing a lot of layoffs and changes within the industry. And it's great to continue to lean on each other and continue to build your network, and think about the ways that you can really continue to stand out, whether you are a job seeker or, again, just building community. So I hope in this session you will walk away with a better understanding of how to stand out, walk away with a couple new ideas on just how to expand your network, build that personal brand, and really make your profile irresistible to recruiters. There's a lot of great things that you can do to optimize your profile and sort of your visibility online and your visibility to recruiters, and really ensure that you're making recruiters come to you for great opportunities, and not necessarily having to spend as much time kind of job seeking and digging around, because those great opportunities are coming to you through things like LinkedIn and social media and things like that. I have a ton of resources to share. I am a resource hoarder, so I save a ton of, anytime I see something that would be, I think could be helpful for a job seeker, I like to take note of that. So I'm going to share a few things that I think will be helpful for you as well. Alessia and Kuba, feel free to, come off mute if any keen questions come up, or anything that you want to flag as we go through here as well. All right, so before I get into it and talk to you for the next 45 minutes or so, here is a little bit more about me. So like I mentioned, I'm a talent programs manager here at Cohere. I do recruitment as well as manage some of our larger talent and diversity partnerships as well. Things like working with Lab, going to different hackathons, being across different campuses across North America and Europe. I've been recruiting for a really long time. I love it. It's been about 9-10 years now, and I've worked recruiting talent across all different industries within the startup space, fintech, pharma, consulting space, medical devices, you name it. I've probably recruited in that area, and recruited anywhere from interns, early talent, new grads, all the way up to executive level positions. The past few years, I've definitely fallen in love with tech, caught the bug a few years ago, and it's been great kind of living and working within this space from a recruitment realm. There's a ton of amazing opportunities working with such amazing, bright people and candidates like yourself. Aside from that, I'm a huge just tech and talent nerd. I love learning, love sharing resources like I mentioned. I love doing sessions like these. Would love to stay connected with you all after this session, so please connect with me on LinkedIn. You can scan the QR code here to connect with me on LinkedIn. You can also find me on Twitter, Instagram. I have a website that has some resources on there as well if you want to check that out, and I'm always around on the Cohere Discord channel. So when I'm not recruiting and meeting amazing candidates like yourself, I do love mentorship, coaching, and I do some DJing in my free time. They call me DJ Campus. So you will maybe see me hitting your other airwaves soon. All right, so let's get into it. Wanted to chat a little bit, like I mentioned, about how to optimize your job search strategy. If you are applying to jobs or if you're just seeking, to see what other opportunities are out there, just want to kind of build your network. There's ways that you can do that extremely effectively. And again, make sure that those right recruiters and those right opportunities are actually funneling to you and actually hitting your inbox. And it's a great way to think about things and to think about that hidden job market. So I want to share some tips around that, and then wanted to jump into some deep stuff around LinkedIn optimization, how to really optimize your profile and stand out and kind of build that personal brand, and a bunch of kind of tea and secrets around LinkedIn algorithms and what that all means. So before we get into that LinkedIn piece, just a couple general reminders. One, I think what is super important is for everyone to always be leveraging your community around you and your network around you. Once you start interviewing and having coffee chats and there is so many great people that want to be able to help you out, so don't be afraid to ask for referrals, or reach out to folks that you've worked with before, that you've hacked with before, the amazing connections that you're going to meet at this weekend at this hackathon. These are all great people to add to your community and network, and people that you should leverage throughout the job search process or the networking process as well. One other thing I think is definitely important to note is quality over quantity. So if you are looking for your next gig or looking to explore new opportunities, I would say it's definitely better to target your search and to be more focused with your applications and your outreaches and your follow-ups. And this is typically going to get you much better results than just applying to 50 to 100 different jobs and constantly just sort of applying and not necessarily taking the time to tailor your resume, to follow up with the recruiters at that company or people at that company, to spend time on your application when you're getting those questions of why do you want to work here, and write us a little blurb. If you really do invest in that, tailoring your resume, tailoring those reach outs, this is going to be the best thing that you can do in terms of really being able to stand out amongst the crowd and get your resume and your application seen when there is kind of a large pile for recruiters to go through. So quality over quantity, super important. We'll talk a little bit more about some of that and how you can kind of enhance the quality of your applications, your profile, and stand out and all of those things. Also some great tools. I'm going to send out this deck after in the Lab channel. There are a bunch of links and resources in here, like I mentioned, so you'll be able to click through some of these, but there are some great, just organizational spreadsheets, tools like Hunter, stay organized with the people that you are chatting with, the roles you're applying to. It can be easy once you do get into that interview mode to kind of get lost and forget where you're at with different companies and with different roles. So it's great to just stay organized, and it helps you really minimize that job search fatigue as well. And this one, which is what will lead us into a lot of the next slides, is super important as a job seeker that you are not just using one platform for your search. So whether it's just LinkedIn or just Google Jobs, or you're using kind of one channel or platform to search for roles, you will be missing out on other opportunities. So not every opportunity, unfortunately, is on any one platform. LinkedIn is great, and we're going to talk a lot about that. But it is really important to kind of maximize your reach by looking for opportunities across these different channels, like LinkedIn, Google Jobs, through Slack and Discord communities, and through different job boards and meetup groups and things like that. And these are all just a few kind of quick tips and reminders before we get into some of the details around some things I think that are very useful for candidates to be thinking about, again, job seeking or networking. So next slide here is wanting to really highlight again some of these areas where I think that as a recruiter I've seen either these are places I go to look for talent, or recruiters I know are going to seek talent like yourselves that is kind of outside of LinkedIn, and job boards that I've used that are really great and that have a lot of opportunities that maybe you're not seeing on the typical LinkedIn or the standard Glassdoor page or whatever you're using to look for those opportunities. So you can take note of some of these. There's some good job boards on here. Some of these you're probably quite familiar with if you have been looking around. AngelList, Remotive for remote jobs is awesome. AI Jobs, Net is pretty great for like AI, ML type of jobs. Y Combinator for startup jobs. Dice, No Whiteboard. We love No Whiteboard. It's companies that will interview you that don't require kind of a whiteboarding or too intricate of technical assessments, which is great. Some great diversity groups. Underdog, Built-in, Idealist. So these are all really great job boards to check out. I can guarantee you if you click through some of these, you will see opportunities that you have not seen before, or you'll probably discover companies that you haven't heard of, or some cool startups that are hiring for opportunities that you maybe weren't aware of. So check out those job boards. And the other thing, like I mentioned, is community and networking. I think that's huge, and not just applying to jobs online. The best thing that you can do as a recruiter, and this is definitely something I have seen and lived over the past 10 years of my recruitment career, is not just applying online and really getting out there and meeting real folks and making meaningful connections with companies that you're interested in is definitely the best way to again get your application noticed. Create those, networking and referral opportunities, and kind of stand out from that pile of resumes. So again, these are some things that, being a part of these Lab hackathons is incredible. A lot of opportunities and connections being made here. There's some things noted here. I'm based in Toronto, in Canada, but I know there's folks from all over the globe potentially tuning in. There's such great tech communities like Tech Canada, Tech Toronto here in Toronto that host meetups, and 400 or 500 people go out to those meetups, and it's a really great place to meet employers, learn about industry, and just make new connections. So again, these are just some of the places. Meetup groups are great to explore. Different Slack and Discord communities, like of course our Cohere Discord community. There's great communities for designers, product developers, machine learning, NLP community, ADP list. These are all really great places to find new opportunities and find great allies and folks to network with. And I think another piece, and some hot tea here, these might be some things that you are familiar with, but I would highly recommend for any candidate to be doing your research, right? Poking around when you are looking for that new opportunity, or you have an interview coming up, or you have an offer and you're ready to kind of negotiate. There's some really great websites and resources that can inform you on different things kind of going on at that company and what processes look like. So one thing I will say, proceed with extreme caution on a lot of these websites. A lot of them are just self-disclosed commentary, and there could be some things that are quite negative on some of these pages, transparently, like blind, but there is also some amazing information and tidbits. So for example, TrueUp is a great site. You can do comparisons of different startups and different companies, different interview processes, and see what things look like to help you better prepare. Blind, again, is an anonymous community where you can see what's going on at different companies, just kind of like an internal chat room, but there you can search hashtags like job openings or referrals, and you can get, these are all posts just within the past 24 or 48 hours of folks talking about, who's hiring, what roles are out there, and some great strings that you can connect with people. So some great resources there. Fishbowl is similar, Reddit threads, being on Glassdoor comparably. And when it comes to salaries and, wanting to better educate yourself there and just prepare yourself for those conversations and understanding, where you sort of fit in the market, Levels and AI Pay Grades are two great sites to check out some tea around salaries and some of that information that maybe you're not seeing, through some of these other channels as well. And social media and audio networking is a great place. I know Twitter is a scary place right now, but Twitter Spaces has definitely been a great thing for job seekers. And again, a place where I go as a recruiter to actually look for great candidates like yourself, especially in niche spaces like within the AI space, within the NLP and machine learning space. There's some really great communities, and it's also a great way to meet people. And actually a lot of recruiters hosting different hiring and internal, job fair type of events on things like Clubhouse and Twitter Spaces, which is awesome. All right, so that is just some hot tips into around, how to kind of expand your reach, other places you can look and go to find great opportunities, to find, different information that, maybe you weren't aware of before. It's always important to do your research. But this is something that is kind of like a stereotypical thing that, or kind of fact that has been out there, that recruiters spend 6 to 10 to 15 seconds, whatever, amount of seconds it might be, reviewing a resume. So essentially, they are often only really glancing at your resume and really doing a skim for that important information to see if you are, potentially a great fit for the role that they are looking for. So it is true. I will tell you that it is true. Unfortunately, oftentimes it can be true that recruiters they know exactly what they're looking for and the skill sets that are needed for that role. And they're really just taking the time to do a quick skim for those, those key messages on your resume before they're going to pick you out of the pile. So you only have about that 6 to 10 seconds to impress with your resume, but LinkedIn and your other socials is a really great way to kind of supplement that resume, tell your story, share your personal brand, and share more about why you could be a great fit for that company or the role. So it's super important that you are making your LinkedIn profile a magnet for the right recruiters and the right roles, and this is really how you're going to stand out from the crowd. Personally, for me, a confession is, the large majority of the candidates that I've hired in my past, which is transparently in like the thousands, I would say at least 50 to 60% of them are passive candidates or candidates I've sourced or met through LinkedIn or through these social media channels. So it is extremely powerful and, a great thing to think about. So I want to jump into some of this now. So LinkedIn, 87% of recruiters are using LinkedIn to search for candidates, passively going on LinkedIn to try to find you or try to find somebody with your skill set. So that's a pretty huge number. Like pretty much every recruiter is using LinkedIn to try to find you. And 94% of recruiters, if they're not going to LinkedIn right off the bat to try to find you and actively, source your profile, 94% of them are going to LinkedIn at some point in the process to kind of further vet your profile. So often if I get an applicant, the first thing I'm going to do after looking at their resume is clicking on their LinkedIn profile, or it's their GitHub, depending on their role. But I love to go right to LinkedIn to kind of see, what else can I find out about this person? Is there, other passion areas that they have? Are they active? Who are they kind of engaging with? Is there anything they've been posting about that could kind of give me more information about this candidate? So huge numbers there. We're all looking for you on LinkedIn. So I guess the first message there is if you're not on LinkedIn or if you're not very active on LinkedIn, I would highly recommend you change that, start engaging on LinkedIn, and we'll talk about some really easy ways to do that and how to really kind of blow up your profile so that, again, you're getting those right outreaches and, right opportunities coming your way. So a couple other kind of, I guess, secrets or tips around this is also something that is important to know is that recruiters, we're not using the same version of LinkedIn that you are probably seeing or using. So we often pay for a more premium version of LinkedIn, which is called like LinkedIn Recruiter. And there's kind of different levels of that based on what you pay, and you kind of get different access based on that. So transparently, we have some like secret LinkedIn powers to, really kind of get deep into searches on LinkedIn, pull out your profiles, and really be able to narrow down on the people that, seem to have the skills and the values and the soft skills as well that we are looking for that specific search. So just to be mindful of that is that we do have these kind of extra tools that we can search around for different keywords, and I'm going to show you on the next slide what that actually looks like for a recruiter, to give you the real insider view of what it kind of looks like for us when we are searching through this premium version of LinkedIn and trying to find you. And it's extremely important to just try to build that network and, expand your network on LinkedIn to open up your visibility to different opportunities and the hidden job market. Really, if recruiters are not using this sort of paid version of LinkedIn, they are often only able to see kind of within your third degree of network. So the more folks that you have in your network, the more you are going to become more visible to other recruiters and other people across the industry. So just making connections, engaging with content, being slightly, even slightly active on LinkedIn is going to like 10 times your reach. And you will see a huge difference in the messages that you're getting, and I think the recruiters that are reaching out to you. So we're going to talk more about how to optimize your profile and how to strategically kind of include all of this key information in the right places so that you can kind of see this power of LinkedIn if you haven't been seeing it already. So like I mentioned, the whole kind of premium version of LinkedIn Recruiter, this is just like honestly a snapshot that you can find on Google. There's a lot of, if you search LinkedIn Recruiter View, you will see some different versions of what this looks like. But what is important to kind of note here is, this is sort of the insider view. When I am doing a search for a candidate, or any recruiter is doing a search for a candidate, let's say for a software developer, machine learning, engineer, somebody within the NLP space, and we're looking for, some of these skill sets, we have the opportunity to, of course, search by job titles, previous companies, types of industries, education. We can search by specific keywords, which we will often do. So that will, especially, kind of technical competencies. If we're looking for folks with experience with our tech stack, I'm very often going to go and put in, JAX, Python, whatever it is we're looking for in those keywords. So I am only pulling up people and profiles with those keywords in their profile. So super important to have, your profile loaded up with these different keywords, skills assessments, and verified skills on your profile. If you have those on your profile, the rumor is that, those candidates are 30% more likely to be hired from LinkedIn searches because they have those verified skills on their profiles. So do a couple of those. And really interesting on the side here is like some of the things that we're actually able to filter on is I only want to see candidates that have company connections. So folks that are connected with people that work at Cohere. That means, they know somebody, or, they maybe know a little bit about the company. So maybe they're more keen to respond or would be more open to opportunities. Maybe I'll look at those folks first. Or folks that have applied to our roles in the past. Or if you'll see on the bottom here, how many folks are engaged with your talent brand. So that is a huge one. That alone is if you are not following different companies, or you haven't liked their posts or just kind of engage with that company's content, you are less likely to come up in their recruiter searches. So if you have target companies or places you really want to work, like Cohere, of course, you want to follow our company page, like our posts, comment on some things, just connect with some people at the company, If you do these very few little things, you will all of a sudden, potentially move from page 80, 100 in these searches to being in those first like 3 or 4 pages of the search and coming up as kind of a top candidate. So that is a hot tip here. This is what we are seeing. This is what recruiters are seeing when we're spending hours, going through LinkedIn profiles or running these different searches to kind of try to pull up the right profiles. Optimize your profile, engage with content, engage with companies that you're interested in, and that is really going to help you stand out in these searches. And we'll talk a little bit more about how you can do all of this as well. So how do you optimize your LinkedIn profile and make sure that you are like coming up in those first pages of those searches like I mentioned? One, go to your profile settings, go do that now. Make sure you take a look at your settings. Sometimes they just like LinkedIn adds new things or like things kind of change around. So make sure like your profile is fully visible to people. If you want to, share your email for opportunities, make sure that that is visible as well. It just makes it easier for recruiters to find you and contact you. Set up those job alerts, go through the job search page and you can set up job alerts for different companies, different roles, different locations, and you're going to be notified right away when those jobs come up. And timing is really important. So being able to apply earlier or get your application in right away is always a good thing to do versus waiting. So those job alerts can be super helpful. Open to work, set that up. If you are open to work, it again is really helpful. That is also one of the filters we can filter on. So if you're doing a search, maybe I just want to see those folks that have already indicated that they are absolutely open to work. So I might go check them out first. So keep that in mind. And then just like increasing your visibility on your feed and your page. There's so many amazing opportunities that, pop up on LinkedIn and through your networks. But if you're not, again, active on LinkedIn, if, your page isn't set up like for this optimization and visibility, you won't see these opportunities really pop up and you might be missing out. So something that you could definitely, would definitely highly recommend doing is optimizing your page by following different hashtags on LinkedIn. So following things like hashtag hiring, job opportunity, interns, interview tips, like offering support, tech layoffs if you want to, stay in the know about that. But just clicking on, job opportunity, there's 309,000 people following this hashtag, and this is going to pull up anybody that is posting something about a job opportunity out there. So it's a great way to just fill up your feed with that relevant information and really kind of optimize your profile there as well. Already talked about following companies, engaging with their posts, engaging with recruiters. It's super important. Joining different groups is also a great thing to do. So a lot of people don't know this, but I mentioned that often you can only see within like your third degree network on LinkedIn, or if recruiters are not using that paid version, they can only see you through the third degree network. But if you are connected with other folks and you are in different groups where folks are also a part of that group, it actually 10 times is your reach, and you are now kind of part of their third degree network. So joining groups is a really easy way to expand your reach and your network on LinkedIn. Please do it. Follow the hashtags, join the groups, check out your settings, engage with content and posts, and you will notice a huge difference in the information that you are seeing on LinkedIn, and hopefully some of the opportunities that could be coming your way. The other thing I wanted to kind of spill some tea about, or tips, is just how to use LinkedIn also to your advantage to really sleuth. We do it as recruiters. We are, using LinkedIn to kind of, search you up and, kind of try to find out more about you and, the things that you're passionate about. As a candidate, you should definitely be doing that as well. It's such a good way to prepare for interviews, to, strengthen your application, to find the right people to connect with. So a quick, some examples here of like little things that you could do. One, if you're searching for job opportunities on LinkedIn, you can actually filter by how many applicants, or search early applicant in the search bar. under jobs, and it will pull up all the jobs where they've just more recently been posted, or they say that you are an early applicant, so they haven't received too many applicants yet. And that's a great opportunity to kind of, check out those opportunities and see them, kind of before the rest of the crowd. Again, timing is important in the job search. And then finding the right people, like this is so important. You can actually find the recruiters, find the hiring managers, find the folks that are kind of working within this umbrella under the roles or the organizations that you're applying for. And by looking at their profiles, you're going to get such good information on what do they do, right? And what have some of, their proud projects, or what does their kind of growth trajectory looked like in that role? And it can be extremely eye-opening. So how do you do that? It's super simple. If you haven't tried, I'll just pull up this page now. But if you do a search, you can search in the search bar, recruiter or talent, and this is going to pull up anybody with recruiter or talent, because sometimes the titles can be talent acquisition, recruiter, or whatnot. So maybe hit both, and then you can hit search, and then you can filter by company. So you want to find, you've applied to a role at Cohere, you want to find the right recruiter and follow up with them. Just pop that in here. We're a small team. This is our whole team right here. This is our entire HR team. Maybe you're applying for a machine learning engineer or role. You could take a quick look and see, okay, try to find that recruiter that probably recruits for that space. I see my friend Kate here is a senior talent partner supporting tech. And if I look at her profile, I can kind of quickly confirm that she seems to be the recruiter for the tech space. So she'd probably be a good person to follow up with and to reach out to, and flag your interest and your application to her. So that is a great thing to do. And honestly, I feel like if you are applying to jobs, your application should not be considered complete until you have applied, but also gone on LinkedIn and tried to find the recruiter or the hiring manager or somebody, and kind of followed up about your application and reiterated your interest. Once you have done that, then I think you can consider that application complete. So don't just be applying online. Make sure you're taking that extra step to try to find the right people. Use LinkedIn to your advantage. Make yourself super visible. And again, this is going to make sure that the right opportunities and the right recruiters are proactively coming to you. So talking a lot about LinkedIn, I know there's like a ton of different resources and stuff online, and there's stuff that I've included in this presentation on a resource slide at the end, but here's just a couple quick tips on perfecting your profile. A few things that are definitely important is having a headshot photo and having an attention-grabbing banner. That can kind of add a lot to your profile. So there's some templates here that are put together. Canva is a great tool, or just there's a bunch of templates online. You can check these out, make yourself a little banner, tell us a little bit more about you, and it's going to really help take your profile to that next level. Make your headline more than just your job title. The headline is so super important. It's honestly like your picture, your banner, your headline is really the first thing that a recruiter is going to see, or that anybody is going to see on LinkedIn when they're looking at your profile. So don't just have like your job title, or, I think it's really important to have, whether it's position or industry you're targeting, or the industry that you're working in, something you're passionate about. If it's, machine learning and NLP, you can put that in your headline, and it's just going to signal even more to recruiters looking for those folks that you are that person that they are looking for. Use it as your professional story, right? Like your LinkedIn and your summary section is like that digital elevator pitch. It's again super, super important. It's where you can really showcase who you are, not just as that piece of paper, that resume, but who you are, as a candidate, as a human, as a future colleague. And it's a really great space to add a little bit more color to your profile, and some of those things that maybe you couldn't include on your resume or aren't as relevant to include on your resume, but are important to know about you. This is where you want to do it. And then the keywords and stuff, I talked about the skills and the keywords, but this is super, super important to have these keywords in your profile. Like I mentioned, recruiters are doing this, deep searching and searching through all these, different kind of flags and keywords. So just making sure you have some of those in your profiles, especially when it comes to your technical skills, your areas of interest, roles you're interested in. Put that in your summary, put it in your profile. It's again just going to help match you to the right recruiters, the right opportunities when they are kind of seeing that information. And it's really great to use like the featured section. You can pin stuff, pin projects. Maybe you're working on an awesome project this weekend at this hackathon, like post about your experience here or something cool that you built and pin it in your profile. So again, it's only going to increase your reach. If I'm a recruiter looking at that, I'm definitely going to click through that. I always look at the featured section. I'll always look at your projects, and it will always really help me, be a little bit even more excited about your profile. So there's a couple examples here. There's lots online. We can click through. We can click through some of these, but one good example is from like an organization called Wansalting. There's Wendy Wansalting. You can find her profile online on LinkedIn, and it's a great kind of just structure here. But just kind of a quick intro. Who are you? What do you do if you're a graduate? Are you, working in machine learning engineering? What industry are you working in? Where are you based? And then one or two lines about like your past experiences, what you're up to now, and just a little bit more about you as, a professional. And then adding a little bit about you as, what your goals are, what you're kind of hoping for in your next opportunity, or, the things that you're most passionate about. And then some hobbies or some of those strengths and keyword areas. So this is, at the bottom of here where you could add some more of those keywords, technical skills, and things that you are passionate about. So this is just one example, but you don't have to have like a whole crazy summary, or you don't have to load it up with different keywords and things like that. But it is important to have a picture, have a headline, have a little bit of a summary that tells us more about you, and think about some of those things that really make you you, that maybe aren't as evident on your resume, or those soft skills that are maybe more difficult to really highlight on a resume. This is a great place to do it. And just wanted to also touch on some tea here around, again, how you can really like build your engagement and visibility on LinkedIn, and build that personal brand. So if you have not been that active on LinkedIn and now you're thinking like, wow, 94% of recruiters are using LinkedIn, I should probably be, engaging a little bit more, or, kind of spice up my profile. Here are some kind of hot tips and things that you can think about. LinkedIn, like every other social media platform, has some serious algorithms that they are using to kind of make sure that the right posts and the right content are, getting through to the right channels. And this can like really heavily impact how you are engaging and how great your posts or your content that you're putting out on LinkedIn is kind of hitting the network. So a couple things here to note. Is the LinkedIn is absolutely kind of using that social selling index method. So they're kind of grading you based on your leveling of engagement and activity. So if you are never on LinkedIn, you're never liking posts, you're never commenting on anyone else's things, you probably have a low social selling index score. And when you post, LinkedIn's not going to push out your post as much as it would for those other people that are, already engaging on LinkedIn. So again, engage, like stuff, follow pages, follow groups, make some comments and things like that. It's going to really boost that score, and it's just going to kind of, give you that higher score in LinkedIn's eyes, which is great. LinkedIn goes through like a bunch of checks kind of to make sure that your posts are not kind of spam, and kind of how they decide how much they are going to kind of promote or share your posts out with the network. So the big one is definitely that spam check or spam blocker check, and they are looking at things like, do we think that if you have too many external links in your post, that is kind of driving people away from the platform. LinkedIn doesn't love that. So if you want to include posts or links to posts in your content, you should not put it in the post. You should put it in the comment section of the post, and that's going to help kind of get through that spam check. And some other kind of fun facts is the first 90 minutes of posting is super critical. So right when you post, getting some likes, getting some comments is super important to kind of making your post sort of take off. And if you, get more likes and more likes and engagement within that first 90 minutes, like your post is actually going to increase in reach by like 20 to 25%, which is quite significant. And then after that, the next 8 hours of that post is super important. So you want to try to maximize dwell time on your post, put out content that is making people want to see more, want to read about what's the project, or, makes people want to kind of comment on those posts or ask questions. And usually this is unofficial, but a lot of folks say that there's sort of like a sort of point system for LinkedIn. So it's like a like would be like 1 point, a comment is, 2 points, a share is like 4 points in that LinkedIn algorithm currency. So the more likes, comments, and shares you can get on your post, the more it is going to really blow up, and you are going to really expand that network, make a lot of connections, and, have more people excited about whatever you are sharing. So some more on the spam blocker. I mentioned the external links. You shouldn't over tag people. So actually tagging more than 3 people. You see some of those posts where people will tag 40 different recruiters or 40 different influencers in their posts, thinking that it's really going to up that engagement, but it actually won't. It will actually hurt your engagement. You'll probably get less likes and posts because LinkedIn is saying, okay, you're spamming, a bunch of people. You've tagged, 50 people in your posts, and it doesn't like that. So tag 3 to 4 people, people that you think will actually engage with your posts, that are going to respond, they're going to like it. That's super helpful. Don't use too many hashtags. Same idea. If you're filling up 50, 60 hashtags, LinkedIn is I don't like this, spammy. So 3 to 5 hashtags is very ideal. And don't overpost. So you don't want to post more than once a day. Maybe you're super eager after this. You want to start posting all this stuff. Don't post more than once a day. Actually, if you do post a second time within 18 hours, it's actually going to really reduce the growth of both of those posts by 15%. So 1 a day is more than enough. Once a week I think is awesome. Even, to start that goal is once a month posting online on LinkedIn, I think is a really great place to start as well. And according to the legends, this is apparently the best times to post. This is a lot of this is based on a LinkedIn algorithm report that actually just came out last week. Some of these images were from the previous version, and then the new version just came out this week. This is from Richard Vanderbloom. You can follow him, and he shares so much about these LinkedIn algorithms and how to really expand your reach. But they say that from Monday to Thursday, 10 a.m. is a great time to post. And on the weekends, 1 p.m. in the afternoon is the best time to post. So here's just some hot tips around these LinkedIn algorithms. If you're excited to kind of build your network or enhance your presence on LinkedIn, because as we've talked about, I think it's super important. How all recruiters are looking on LinkedIn. There's so many opportunities there. It's really going to help you stand out from the crowd. And there's really easy, simple things that you can do. These posts can be very simple posts, but you post them at the right time, with the right hashtags, with the right people, and you can get hundreds of likes and, a lot of great new connections from some of this content. So just some things to think about there. And I'm going to kind of round up here with the last 2 or 3 slides, and then would love to open things up for questions. But this is a question I get all the time, aside from how do I stand out? How do I get my resume picked, over others, or how do I stand out in the interview process as well as how do I beat the ATS? So there's a lot of controversy, a lot of different opinions. Recruiters will all tell you different things about the ATS, but that's essentially, a lot of the chatter about companies are using these, machines and keyword searches that are going through resumes, and, it's not a very human process. So your resume has to be in, this format with these words in them, or else, they're going to get X'd out of the system. It could be true for some companies, but for the very large majority, there are humans and there are recruiters, human recruiters like myself, that are actually going in and reviewing all resumes or searching through and yes, doing some keyword searches to try to dig up the right profiles. But yes, there are humans reviewing profiles. So my opinion on this is just to not worry too much about the ATS and don't listen to sort of all the different feedback that you'll get about, it has to be in this format, or, you can't use color or images or things like that. There are a few things that could be helpful, but the best way to beat the ATS, the best way to stand out, the best way to have your resume noticed by the recruiter quickly is to actually follow up with them and reach out to them. So again, I'll share this deck out, and there is a resource linked that is has 10 million different templates of different networking kind of templates and emails and for different situations that you can easily use and tailor. But these are just a couple quick examples. Again, if you've met folks, it's always great to connect with them on LinkedIn, follow up. If you've applied for a role, apply and go and message the recruiters. You know how to find the recruiters now, or the hiring team. Go and send them a quick message. You don't have to ask for much, but it's really just reaching out to share how interested and excited you are about that opportunity, why you could be a great fit. And there's many roles that I'll recruit for where I get 500 applicants, 1,000 applicants, 2,000 applicants, but then there's only 5 people who messaged me online on LinkedIn and said, "Hey, Kristina, I've applied for this role. This is why I think I'm the perfect fit. Here's my resume. If you could highlight my application or highlight my interest to yourself and the hiring team, I would really appreciate that." So it's super simple, and it is worth every message that you send. It is, like I mentioned, don't just apply online, make these follow-ups, tailor some of these messages, and this is again going to 10 times the ROI of your job search, and really get you noticed over those candidates that are not following up and expressing their interest and so forth. So this is linked here. It's actually a part of Resume Worded. If you want to just note that down, this is an incredible resource and site. There is every kind of, you can choose different categories, thank you emails. There's so much stuff on here. You could also put your resume in, you could put your LinkedIn profile in, and it will grade your resume and your LinkedIn profile and let you know if you do have the right keywords kind of in that profile. So Resume Worded, y'all can check that out. But just some templates here. These are some, real templates that I have received in my past, and very often, sometimes I will receive messages like that, and yes, my inbox is super full. Transparently, recruiters get a lot of these messages, on the grand scheme of things. But sometimes I might not respond right away, but I've read the message, and I did take that profile, and I sent it off to the hiring manager. And then, in a week or two, we end up calling that candidate and saying, "Hey, we want to, invite you into an interview. I read your LinkedIn message." So sometimes it might feel like you're sending out these messages. Maybe you're not always getting the right responses, but it could still be helping you. And you might not even know it because that recruiter is noticing you and kind of putting a star on you in the system. So something to think about. And we are at the end of the road here. I know I'm super passionate about all things LinkedIn and job searching and how to optimize your job search. But here are a bunch of resources, like I mentioned. I will make sure we get this deck shared out through the airwaves somehow. But, a great site for creating a LinkedIn photo. Okay, not working right now, but creating a LinkedIn headshot photo. For free on the web, LinkedIn banners, again, the networking emails, how to write a perfect LinkedIn connection request, how to write a perfect elevator pitch and kind of have that template. Resume Worded and Job Scan, like I mentioned again, are two great tools that you can actually scan your LinkedIn profiles, get some real-time feedback, which is awesome. And yeah, how to write an awesome bio and summary for your LinkedIn profile. So these are some really great tools we will share. We didn't really talk about resumes or interviews and stuff like that today. I was more focused on LinkedIn and like optimizing your reach and your network there. But there's some good resources here that you can check out as well. Again, Resume Worded, Resi Match will help you with your bullet points. And these are great tools that I have used as a recruiter, that I have shared, as myself as a job candidate, that I've shared with candidates. So please take advantage, poke around with some of these resources. And just to summarize some of the things that we really chatted about is that LinkedIn can be an extremely powerful tool if you use it correctly and to your advantage. So please, optimize your profile, connect with folks, engage with content, follow those hashtags and groups, and think about how you're showing up and your personal brand. And, again, whether you are looking for a new role right now and really using it as a job seeker, or you're just using it to build your network, share more about your projects, building something great, or even building a company of your own. These are all great things to do to kind of expand your reach and expand that network. And I know I shared on that first slide, but feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. Like I mentioned, I'm on Twitter, I'm on Instagram, I have a web page you can poke around on as well. But I would love to just open up the floor for questions. Kuba, Alessia, I'm not sure if we got questions coming through, but if there is anything we want to chat about now, I'm super excited to do it and happy to spill any tea that I can from here.
Yeah, we do have a lot of questions, actually, and
Good.
I'm happy to read it. The first one is it common to recruiters to proactively search for intern candidates as well? I mean, like not full-time roles, considering how many interns applying through job position already?
Yes, that is a very good question, and you would be surprised to know that yes, and a lot of larger organizations and some of the previous organizations that I've worked at in campus recruitment specifically, they actually have dedicated sourcers that are for the university and intern program specifically, that is their job to just go out on LinkedIn, be finding students, and also being out at events and kind of sourcing passive candidates there. So I would say it's less likely at much smaller companies, but bigger corporations and big FAANG companies, absolutely, they have like people that's actually their whole job is going to find you on LinkedIn. So as a student as well.
Thank you for the answer. And the next question is, recruiters say that resume should be tailored for each company, even when applying for jobs with the same title and responsibilities. Could you describe what information are recruiters looking for to make sure that candidates is not applying with the same resume to multiply companies in bulk?
Yeah, for sure. I think like definitely tailoring your resume is super important. What I would say is don't be afraid to have like multiple versions of a resume. Like sometimes you might have one version that's like a little bit more fun and creative, or maybe it's like a little bit more targeted towards startups, right? Versus like big organizations or corporations, and there's like different things that maybe those companies are looking for that you can kind of tailor in that sense. But I think some of the other most important things are definitely like the technical skills, and some of those like hard skills that are kind of just that are really focused on for the role. And I think the other thing that is also we're always looking for throughout resumes and through the interview process is thinking about what values that company has. So very often we are looking for candidates that showcase alignment with our company values, right? Or things like being very passionate about lifelong learning, collaboration, the NLP space. So there's definitely little ways that you can kind of highlight those things on your resume. being at hackathons like these, put it on your resume. Being a part of different communities or being passionate about, even different podcasts or channels or things you follow, put that on your resume and tailor that for those different industries, different roles. And I think that will really help you stand out from the crowd as well. Recruiters can definitely tell when you have that tailored resume versus, that generic copy that you've been, just sharing for any role.
I have one more additional question for myself. What is really important for you as a recruiter to see in my job experience? Is it enough really for recruiters just to know my job title and years of working there and some responsibilities, list of them? Or do you need really more information in my resume about the job experience?
Yeah, I mean, I think you definitely want to have some information about every job experience that you have had. Well, every relevant job experience that you've had. So you don't have to like go back, 20 years time and like roles that, maybe your first internships and things like that. As you get more experience, like roll off some of the older experience that's becoming less relevant. But absolutely, you want to share a few bullet points on what you really did there. And again, not just what you did there, but what impact did you have there or what impact did you have in that role. So try to include some of those impact bullet points. And think about proud projects, think about performance reviews and like anything that you kind of accomplished in those roles. Those are things that we probably want to know about or that are probably helpful to share. And another thing that's also, I would say, like even on your resume or on your LinkedIn profile, sometimes if you've worked for some like cool companies or startups or whatnot where recruiters might not know what that company even is. So if you just have the company, you just have your title, and there's not much other context, it's really hard to know the great things that you did there and the great experience that you gained there. So I love when people also include a little description, like one line about what that company does, because often somebody might have worked transparently for like another AI focused company or an NLP focused company, but it's really small and like hadn't heard of that name before, and I wouldn't even know that it's kind of a company within this space. So just calling that out transparently is another good thing to do to just make it easier for a recruiter to know how great you are and how relevant your experience is.
That's a very great point. Yeah. Next question I have from, can you give some details for candidates who are interested in working at tech companies but coming from non-tech backgrounds such as marketing and multimedia or finance?
Yeah, that's a great question, and there is a space in tech for absolutely everybody, and it's a great place to be. I think what I think is if you're coming from less of that technical background or haven't really had that tech industry experience, that is totally fine. I think what's most important now is that you can really double down and showcase how passionate you are about that space and how passionate you are about breaking into that space and learning more, and being that lifelong learner. So that's often the case, even at Cohere, where we are working within the NLP space, but you don't have to have that experience to come in and work at Cohere and do great things. But we love folks that can showcase that they're excited about the space. They've been learning more about the space. So something I would highly recommend doing is if there is, again, things like you're part of, hackathons like these and, different community groups, Slacks, Discord, maybe there's some podcasts that you're like listen to religiously. Those are things that you should actually put on your resume as like, ongoing learning or learning highlights or, passions and interests, and put that stuff on there. Because if I don't know you're going to hackathons, I don't know you're nerding out on these cool AI and NLP podcasts and going to meetups and being part of the community, then it's hard to kind of exemplify that. So yeah, I think try to dive into the community, try to just showcase that passion, do some additional learning at things like these awesome hackathons, and put it on your resume, put it on your LinkedIn profile. And that's going to answer the questions for me as a recruiter when I say, like this person doesn't have as much experience. I wonder why they're interested in, breaking into the tech space now. Wow, there's a lot of reasons why that they've put on their resume. So yeah.
Okay, and I have one more question, very similar to the previous one. What if a candidate has finished their studies long ago, and wants to rebrand, can they be also recruited for internship via LinkedIn?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, I think every company can be different. I know a lot of companies are absolutely open to that and actually have like career changer programs or like return to work programs as well. So there's a lot of great companies that do offer that. Some companies, however, though, if you haven't if you've graduated more than X number of years, you would just need to kind of be applying through those like regular full-time opportunities. But I would definitely look across industry for different kind of boot camps, returnship programs, and career changer programs. Those are really great programs to kind of look into, and yeah, to hopefully take some of these tips and rebranding just your profile, your resume is a great place to kind of start doing that as well.
Okay, thank you. We have one more question regarding background and experience. And the question is, when the person had a lot of experience and background in software development and the AI technologies have only become recently available, how do you highlight the part of AI in your experience when there is 10 previous years of non-AI software engineering in your CV?
Yeah, really good question. And I think, again, like just being able to really showcase any of this additional or things that you've kind of gone above and beyond to do in terms of being a part of, this lab community and being a part of these hackathons. Again, if there's just like, podcasts, or I'm a huge fan of LinkedIn Learning. I take a bunch of courses on LinkedIn Learning all the time, and I add those to my profile, and I add those, to my resume, and I talk about those things in my interviews and so forth. So I know, emerging technology. There's only so much that we can learn. It's going to be an ongoing process. But I think that is what's so important, is really just showcasing in general you are that lifelong learner, and you're always going to be eager to continue to learn new things and new things about the space, because it's so quickly changing and there's always going to be new things to learn. So yeah, try to tap on some of those other things, courses and, hackathons and, just community learning, blog posts, reading articles, things like that, and like share that you're doing those things. And I think that always comes across really well in those conversations and on your applications as well.
Great, thank you. The next question: what are the most important qualities of candidates that recruiters are looking for?
Yeah, very good question. I mean, I think like aside from the hard skills, like when it comes to tech, like yes, the hard skills are important. Being able to, having some experience within our tech stack, or, having that alignment there so that you can come in and, hit the ground running, I think is important. But the other things are all of those soft skills, right? So we've talked a lot about the lifelong learning piece, and being passionate about that, I think is hugely, hugely important and something that we look for. And again, when I'm mentioning all this, that's why I love to see candidates that are telling me that they've been at these hackathons, they're doing other, courses or going to meetups and stuff like that, because that to us is the indicator that this person is that, lifelong learner who is passionate about this. I think that, curiosity is super important as well. So just showing that you're that curious person too. And again, these are some of the things: you're exploring different areas, you're attending different events, you're building cool stuff. Like that tells us you're that like passionate, curious person, which is awesome. We want passionate and curious people. And I think communication and collaboration, like those things. And that's again where LinkedIn really helps you out, because we're looking for those communication skills, not just in, verbally and in those interview settings, but can you clearly and concisely write your resume and a LinkedIn profile and, kind of summarize things in that way? That's like a first check mark, right? That you have pretty good communication skills, and you would be able to like kind of copyright and, be that voice. So communication, collaboration, passion, lifelong learning, all of those things I think are super important. Problem solving, being agile and adaptable. So any way that you can show that you have, gone through change, or, you've worked through like, really evolving projects, or you've scaled products or projects at, scaling organizations. I think those are all really important things that come across really well on your LinkedIn profile and your resume.
Oh, and probably the last question I will ask you today is about the projects and the like portfolio of projects. How much do recruiters click into and read through portfolio projects, especially when it comes to developers? Because you should have some like qualities in development or in software engineering to understand actually the level of experience of the person.
Yeah, for sure. Really good question. And it varies. It will vary a lot based on, honestly, the recruiter. And sometimes you could have tech recruiters who transparently don't have as much of that technical knowledge, and they're more focused on assessing more of those softer skills and company and values fit and those things, which is great. But I would say sometimes they're maybe less likely to click into your projects. But if the recruiter is not doing it at that early stage of the process, the hiring managers and the hiring teams are definitely doing it later in the process. So regardless if the recruiter didn't look at it, you're moving through to, next round interview, I can guarantee you everyone else is going to, and the developers, once you get to that interview stage, they will be looking at those projects. So definitely super important to have those projects outlined and, have a great portfolio. Somebody is looking at it at some point in the process, for sure.
That's great. Thank you so much for being with us today and for answering these questions. Guys, still you can connect with Kristina via LinkedIn, so feel free to have her in connect. Thank you for your talk today. Thank you for joining us. And well, if you have some words to say in the end, you're welcome.
Yes, no, just thank you so much for having me. Fun time. What an awesome community. I hope you guys are having a great hackathon, building some cool stuff. Excited to see what comes up and excited to stay connected with you. Please connect on LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, wherever you want to be. I'll be there and we'll stay connected. So thanks, everyone.
Thank you, guys.